Okay, Ravina, we are live on Get Set Up. I have made you host back.
Good morning, Colleen. Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Yeah. Welcome. Hi, Cease. I see Cease is just joining and Elizabeth is here. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
All right. Good to have everybody here. This is a fun class. I think I've taught it once or twice now. Twice, I think. This is a fun, interesting class. I learned a lot doing the research for this one. Hi, Henrietta.
Hi.
Good
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Has everybody been up for a while? Have you done an exercise class already? Is there any this morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, set up.
It's noon here and I've been up for 5 hours. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, it's only 9. I'm 3 hours behind you. So. All right. Well, welcome everyone. We Saturday morning or afternoon for you. Today we are talking about detoxing our homes, which is quite exciting, especially if you're into health and wellness. Our environment, as you've learned in some of my classes, is just as important as lifestyle and nutrition and that sort of thing. So we'll get ourselves started here. We have Victor. Victor's going to be here for a few minutes just to check and make sure everybody's doing okay with their technical stuff.
Hello, everyone.
That's Victor, and I've just turned the recording on, so we're good there. And we are live streaming this morning, so just so you're aware of that. Let me get my chat box open, so then when I share, I can still kind of see it in the corner here. All right, so we won't waste any more time. You guys can see my screen now. Is that all good for you? Detoxing our home. So why is that important? Well, it's important because we can do all these amazing things for our bodies and what we put in our bodies, but what about what we sort of, in a sense, ingest because it's in our environment? We're breathing it in, it's coming in through our skin, like what? So that's why detoxing your home is just as important. If you're on this health and wellness path, then you definitely want to be looking at those things. My name is Ravina, if you haven't met me before, and I'm one of the guides here. I don't know how many guides we have now. I don't know what the last count was. We're definitely maybe close to 30. It could be around there. And we're from all over the country. I'm actually in Canada, in Victoria, BC. I'm one of 2 Canadians that are guides. So that's kind of exciting. And basically, I've just been studying health and wellness forever and ever, and always interested in how to be healthier and how to prevent disease. That's been my big mantra, is how to prevent myself from ending up in the hospital or having some kind of an illness. And I'm just not taking that, that stance that as we age, things are just going to inevitably happen. And I don't agree with that. I think that we can do things to help us. So prevention is very big for me. We do learn from each other when you ask questions and when you, give your statement or make a comment. We all learn from each other. And I've heard other learners say that they'll take one of my classes a few times because it really depends on who's in the class and who's asking questions and what questions are being asked and what statements are being made. So definitely, if you can put your camera on, that's awesome, because we can really learn from each other. if you would like a recording, you can ask for that at the end of the class. The email's up on screen. And also we are live streaming today. So sometimes we do live stream classes that we think might be popular. People might want to like it's basically a window into the class. They can hear and see us, but we can't see them or hear them. And they can't see our chat and they don't get the post emails. So for any of you that are live streaming, we'd love to have you register. If you find that this class is interesting for you, register for the class. We also don't get kickbacks or money for any services or goods that I might talk about. So what are we going to learn today? We're going to learn and understand why are there so many harmful chemicals out there? Why is that? Also, we're going to learn the most common toxins in our home, so different parts of our home. And then we're also going to learn some simple action steps that we can take to just protect ourselves. What little simple things can we do to protect ourselves? So that's what we're going to cover today. Does anybody have a question or anything before we get started? Is everybody good? You're all comfy, got your water and your coffee. I've got my green drink. That's what you're going to see me drinking, my green drink this morning. Anna's got her mug there. All right. So how many of you have actually switched to an organic or a natural product specifically to reduce those harmful chemicals? Has anybody done that already in their home? Yeah, Colleen has. Yeah, Pam. It's interesting because there's so many different products out there now, even in places like Costco, where it used to be just like bulk of clothing, like the detergent to wash clothes. And now I've seen some greener options. The green options have been around for quite some time, but just not very mainstream, maybe I'll say. We got used to, I'll just say, not getting any kickbacks again, like Tide. I remember growing up, we always had, I think it was Tide was the the one that was marketed to us the most for our detergent. And then I think in the last like five years or so, at least where I live, like Costco's become like the place to shop for bulk and getting a better price, especially if you have a family. So that Kirkland brand, which is a Costco brand, has become popular in most homes. Like even my father has this like gigantic big Kirkland thing for his washing, but in his case, he was starting to have a rash and having some problems with it. And it turned out to be his detergent. So we'll get to that in a sec. But basically, I think a lot of us have at least thought about it, if not done it, and tried using more natural products for washing our hands, even our dish soap for washing our dishes. All right, so what actually affects our health? This diagram is really the 8 pillars of wellness. We're not going to go specifically into all of them, but you can see the 8 pillars are the physical, our social, emotional, occupational, financial, spiritual, intellectual, and that final one is environmental. So what really does affect our health? Well, it's what our diet, what we put in our bodies, how much movement, it says exercise, but how much movement we give our bodies, that's a big one. You've heard me talk about genetics. What were we doing yesterday in the class? Let's see, when we were talking, I think it was in the optimal brain class, we were talking a little bit about genetics. So genetics definitely can have a play in how healthy we are. Honestly, we do get genes passed down into our own DNA, good or bad. We have to accept that that's just part of our genealogy, our genetics. Medical history is a huge one. What sort of medical history have we had? Has something compromised our immune system from maybe we have an autoimmune disease, things like that. Family and social support makes a really big difference as well. And then there we are is our environment. So that's what we're going to focus on today, is the environment. Sorry, I've got something in, I think it's probably an eyelash in my eye. All right. So that's just to get an overview of what affects our health. All right, so let's look at the toxic chemicals and why it's a problem as older adults, because that's what we all are. We're, most of us are 50 years or older or close to that. Why are toxic chemicals a problem for older adults? Well, they are a problem because, first of all, there's just so much contradicting advice out there. The internet is a positive and a negative to us, because now we have access to absolutely everything, whether it's your next door neighbor writing a blog about something, or an actual association that has research-backed facts to tell you. There doesn't stop anybody from putting something out there and saying this is not good for you, or this is okay for you because of this reason. You really have to know where the source is when you were looking on the internet. Would you agree on that? Like, sometimes we get sucked in and we're reading something and it's really riveting, and we're looking at pictures and we're looking at stuff. And if we really look at the fine print, which is what we really should do, is find out where is that coming from. Even for something like, say you want to buy, I'll just say, for example, you want to buy a new TV, and you go and look up, compare best TVs for 2021. I mean, that's sort of something I would type into Google or my search. And then it'll come up and it'll have comparisons of TVs. And you might go, oh, okay, so the, Samsung is the best one. But then when you really look at the study, you might find out that that was Samsung putting up that article. So that's where we have to get smarter about what we read on the internet and what information we're going to take in. The second thing is, unfortunately, for families, but not for us when we're older adults, most of the information is targeted towards families and children. That is just a fact. When we see anything to do with environment and toxins and chemicals, it usually relates to the young person, the young family, the babies, the children. They don't really talk too much to our cohort of, the 50-year-old or higher. The reason why toxins and chemicals could be such a problem for us at our age is often we might have a medical condition, something that we have. So that's why it's also very important to make sure that we keep these toxic chemicals at bay for us, and not forget that they are in our environment. And we'll get more into this, and it's quite eye-opening. Not that they are trying to get us sick, but it's kind of eye-opening. We think we're being protected, but we need to take some responsibility for all this stuff ourselves. All right, as we go through, if you have a question and you guys are familiar with the reactions button down the bottom, don't be afraid to just click the hands up, and then I'll see your hand up. And then as we go through, when it makes sense, then I'll answer questions. And because I think Victor won't be here he's still here, but he won't be here forever. So I will try to man that myself, just so we don't get interruptions. So just try not to interrupt like the flow of the class, but that's a great way, is to put that electronic hand up. So here's another thing we just don't think about, but just look at that. Toxins may have been built up in our bodies for decades. What if we're in our 60s? We've had 60 years to build up some form of toxins. And let's face it, there are some things that can build up very slowly and maybe not show symptoms, maybe in your 20s or 30s. But if now you're in your 60s and you're still living in the same environment, maybe the same home, even some people live in the same home for years and years, maybe now the toxic buildup has gotten to that point of the tipping point. So that's probably one of the biggest things I want you to take from this, is that because we are this beautiful being and we've been here, thanks Victor for all your help. You have been on this earth for 60 plus years. You've had 60 years to either get yourself in good shape or accumulate some of these little pesky toxins that have been in our environment. So that's a big one. And then the other big one is, your doctor may not be experienced or have up-to-date knowledge in this field. Now, let's not blame our doctors. Our doctors are already busy enough just diagnosing and doing blood work and doing blood pressure and doing all those things. If we can't expect our doctor to keep up to date with the latest of this subject, because it's not their number one area that they're going to be working on, right? So Sometimes, I'll say I'm surprised my doctor is up to date with things. Like she will mention stuff when I do see her about what's in the news and is keeping up to it. But they're all human, right? So it depends. If you've got a doctor who really keeps up on environmental and what's going on in their community, they might be more up to date with it. But what if you've got a doctor who's kind of like going to retire in 5 years, and maybe they're doing the old school way of stuff and they're just not keeping up? You can have that in any profession. Right? Your dentist could be up to date on things. Your accountant could be up to date on the latest things. Well, accounting, they have to really be up to date, but you know where I'm going with this. So really don't expect that your doctor is going to know everything. You might have to do some research yourself. So why are toxins in our home? And the big thing is, in today's world, the world has changed. It really has changed from so many years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. There are thousands, and I got these stats. I spoke with my husband, who is an environmentalist. That's his job. And he works for our local government. He works provincial government. There are thousands of new chemicals introduced into our psyche every single year. They are discovered. New toxins are discovered every single year. And science is constantly advancing, right? We know that with, some of our new foods, like these plant foods that taste like meat. And what else? What are some like advancements? Like just some interesting things. Science is just moving at a really fast pace. But when science is advancing that fast, there are those new dangers that come up constantly that are being identified because of some of the things we're doing, even with our crops, like the way we grow our foods, the way we ingest our foods. Like there are so many new science and technology happening. So that is creating many, many chemicals that we might not even know about yet, or that we're just identifying. So guess what? Not against our governments, but our governments are falling behind. Full stop. They are falling behind. They can't keep up. There's so many. So what does a government body usually do? They have that. There's a section of the government that deals with this stuff. That's where my husband works. He works in what they call human health in my local area. So what's human health? They look at the air we breathe. They look at the water quality that we're drinking, and they look at the soil, our land, and what we're growing our food in. So it's kind of like air, water, our air, and our land. That's what a human health environmental person would look at. So sometimes it's not like the number one thing in the news, but once in a while you'll see a little article on environment, and they're upset about something and they want to bring it to the mass attention. So sorry. Yes. So Pam, you have a question. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. You mentioned the meatless product, and that was one of my big concerns as well, that it's supposed to be so, the irony is they try to make it be where you're more natural because they're plant-based or something, but I'm curious about the technology and whatever else they have to put in there to make it happen.
Yes,
So,
and I agree. I think any person with, I'm gonna say this, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but anybody with common sense would say, okay, if they're making these things and they're manipulating and testing things, like you can't tell me that there's not, like they say there's natural stuff. And like, for example, they use beetroot or beet coloring to make, so for example, and this is not to gross out any vegans, but like to make the burger patty look like meat, they're putting the coloring from beets. But what else are they doing? I don't know. I'm not a big fan of these things yet. How it's interesting if you really look at the history of all this. If you are vegetarian or vegan, I don't think you're craving a burger. I don't think so, because if you are, maybe you should consider being a flexitarian and having some meat product in your diet. If you're craving having that juicy burger that tastes like meat, most vegans that I know are not craving the taste of meat. They just don't do it. So I don't know. Are they trying to make these plant-based foods for us meat eaters that are trying to maybe eat less meat? That's the target market, I believe.
yeah.
Or those vegans that are really craving having stuff, which I don't think there's that many of them necessarily. But I really wonder, this is new technology. It's sort of like Well, I won't bring up the vaccine because that's another can of worms. But when it's something new and we're kind of in a trial, do you want to be the first person eating and doing that? Not me. I've tried the Beyond Burger once. I thought, wow, it tasted pretty good. But am I eating something that's processed? Yeah, absolutely. You're eating something that's processed to be the flavor, the smell, the texture. So good point. And so what I wanted to really emphasize is, like, we look to our governments to protect us, right? Our government to protect us, whether it's environment, whether it's vaccines, whether it's whatever it is. But they only can do so much. And so when there's a crisis, what happens? What happens to all those resources? And I know this for a fact in my local area, so that's why I can speak on this. I had lots of conversations with my partner to say, okay, how do I describe this? Our governments are doing their best, but if there is a crisis in, say, the water in a certain state, guess where all the resources go? It goes to that crisis. Are they paying attention to the medium crisis of the fact that maybe there's something new being sprayed on a crop? You know, they might fall behind. So maybe I should say governments may fall behind, if to be a little bit nicer. But these are the things that we as our individuals need to be aware of. All right, here's the other thing. And you can correct me if you don't agree, but bans, like full-on bans and even regulations, they can take decades before they are in place, even when they know that thing is harmful to us. So just take a moment to take that in. The ban, the regulation, nobody under 16 should eat XYZ or should be around such and such. Or a full-on ban, no more lead in paint when you paint your homes, right? Like, that's a full ban, right? There's no more lead paint. But for how many years was there lead paint? And at what point was there an overlap where they knew that lead was not good for us and we were still living in homes with lead paint, or our kids were going to school and there was lead in the paint? That's an example I want to share with you. So this is not to get you all freaked out and think, there's many little things that we can do to just reduce our toxic load. There's the example, like, what's the next leaded gasoline? We know lead is not good for us, but what's the next thing that's just going to be out there and it's not going to get realized that this is harmful to us? And why is that important? Well, if you're in your 60s, maybe you've got another good 40 years till you're 100. Maybe you're going to live to 100. And if you don't think that we have a lot of centenarians, we do in the world, but let's just say 90. I mean, 90 is not unheard of. If you made it to 60, pretty good. Or they say I was reading the stats, if you make it to 65, the chances of you making it to 85 really escalate. If you don't make it to 65 and you're having some real medical issues, then the chances of getting 85 is not great. But if you're already 65 and you're around, chances are you're going to be here at 85. So you got another 20 years. Do you not want to live that in good health? I do. I absolutely do. All right. So this is not I start this session to just be a little eye-opening around what there is out there. And new stuff every year, something's created because of something we're doing on this planet. So instead of worrying that the government hasn't, put a ban on something that might be harming us when we are, traveling around farms, for example, what can we do about the things that we actually really know about? Because there's things that we do know about. There's things that have the warning signs on the products that we use, and we just don't pay attention to it. Cease, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. I missed all of what you said, the whole statement that you said, that if you are alive at the age of 65, then what?
So basically the stats show that if you're in pretty good health and you've made it to 65, your chances of being here at 85 really drastically increases.
85. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you make it, so basically what that means is, like, if you are somebody in your 50s and you're having health issue after health issue and medical conditions, and and you just creep up to like age 65, but you've got all these ailments happening, then that's different. But if you're already at 65 and you're still around and you're still in pretty good health, I can't remember who was in class. I don't think you're here today saying, you know, you're 70 and you're not even taking any medications. You know, if you're that type of person, so they say at age 65, by 65, chances are you're going to be here till 85. I mean, you could still drop dead next year. I mean, let's be frank, but
Right.
that's sort of what they're saying. So
Thank you. I wanted to know that. what
no
you'd
problem.
said.
And Pam, did you have another question, or is that just from before? It might be from before. So here's the thing. What if as humans, and we know the things that are harmful for us, what if we just got rid of those things? Wouldn't we be like reducing our toxic load? I think so. Yeah. And remember, what's the organ in our body that processes all the toxins? Does anybody remember? What goes through? It's our liver. Yeah.
Yeah, never.
It's our liver. Our liver has to process every weird thing that comes into your body. So our liver has a lot of work. And I think I've mentioned this too, if you've been in other classes, between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. is when our liver does its dumping, its work. And so if you don't get a good night's sleep, or you stay up till like, 12:30 at night watching Netflix, you haven't got yourself into that nice deep sleep so your liver can do its work. Your liver needs to work every day. And if you are overweight, if you are carrying a lot of fat, guess what? Then they call it like a fatty liver. You got fat around your liver, you got fat around your pancreas. It just can't work. It's like putting you're just making it harder for your liver. So that's why you're taking these health and wellness classes, to get ourselves in the best shape as possible. I talk about inflammation all the time. If you can reduce inflammation in your body, guess what? Your organs can work better. So your liver can do what it needs to do to get rid of toxins. So we're going to go through now some areas of the home, and toxins that we know are out there. What can we do to reduce those? And you're a head start. It's a big head start. If you want to start looking at the latest environmental stuff, what they're talking about with the latest chemicals of 2021, you can do that. But why don't we take care of the stuff we know about already that we know are harmful? So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start in the kitchen. So for the kitchen, there's hundreds and hundreds of approved chemicals that they use on our food. We call those pesticides. They're approved. I'm not saying they're great, but they've been approved. So they haven't been banned completely. Once in a while, I think it's interesting to see, because the world is different. Sometimes a European country will totally ban something, and you wonder, why are they banning it and it's not banned in United States, or it's not banned in Canada? You kind of wonder sometimes, right? So I like to look at some of these European countries and see, well, why are they banning it? I think in the UK, I believe, I don't know if it's still happening, but GMO products, I think the UK is way more strict about them than we are here in Canada, and maybe in the United States. So it's a fact that pesticides are linked to symptoms and diseases as bad as cancer, chronic inflammation, headaches, skin rashes, upset stomach, diarrhea. We have health problems already linked to pesticides that have been approved to put on our foods. Now, for me, from a health and wellness point of view, I feel like, well, then why are we allowing those things on our food? Why is there such a dichotomy? You go to the grocery store, you can get the organic apple, but you can also get the other apple. And what if you can't afford the organic apple? What are you supposed to do with this apple? You're supposed to just poison your family. So you can think of it sort of an extreme like that. But if we didn't want to think of it as an extreme, but you think, why do we have the choice of pesticide-laden foods to eat for humans? It doesn't make sense. Does it make sense to you? I just think that's crazy. So we have to protect ourselves. So what can we do in the kitchen? Any fruits and vegetables that you bring home from the grocery store, and also meat and dairy. And the reason why meat and dairy can have pesticides in it, why is that? Because the animal that it came from, the pesticides are in their grains, the food that they're eating. and then the milk that they produce. So it goes inside. So I used to think, well, if I buy an avocado and it's not organic, it should be okay. But there could also be some residue because of the soil that it's grown in, if that makes sense. So what can we do? For our kitchen, we can make sure that we see these labels. If we see the USDA organic or the Canada organic stamp. And if you can and you can afford it and it looks like good quality in your grocery store, try to go for the organic items. When I was studying nutrition, my nutritionist teacher said to me, if it was her, she would make sure that her dairy products and her meat were organic, because that's the biggest impact on us. So dairy products for sure. I do not buy whipping cream unless it's organic. I don't buy any dairy products unless it's organic. I'm pretty careful on that. What you can get away with fruits is we can wash off a lot of the pesticide. And if you buy local, you buy from your local farmer up the street, they might not have the money to become completely certified organic. But if you ask any of your farmers, they'll tell you, oh, we don't spray. We use this organic compound on our crops. She said, you just have to ask them. They might not have the money or the ability to get that certification, because it's very expensive, by the way, to become certified organic. It's very expensive. So that doesn't mean some products in your neighborhood are good, are healthy. So try to do local. Trudy's saying, yes, when UK stopped accepting United States beef, that is when I stopped eating beef. Yes. It isn't interesting. So I really like to look to see what other European countries are doing and sort of take at least I wonder why, and research it for yourself and make a decision. So we want to look for these labels. There is a thing called the Dirty Dozen. I've talked to people about this. You can Google Dirty Dozen and it'll take you to a website. It will tell you what the latest Dirty Dozen is for this year. So 2021's Dirty Dozen might be slightly different than 2020. And they tell you what the dirtiest crops are, the top 12. Typically strawberries, spinach is a big one, kale's a big one, nectarines, apples are a big one. Now I look at this list, the things I love to eat are strawberries. I like to eat apples every day. And it's a daily thing. If you're eating a nectarine maybe 2 or 3 times a year because of when they're in season, it's not going to be as bad, but it's that consistency, right? So if you're eating apples and you're eating them all year round, maybe you want to get organic apples. Even potatoes, again, it feels weird, but it's in the ground. But guess what? The roots and everything is taking in the nutrients out of the soil and the pesticides that are in the soil. So what can you do? You want to wash them properly. Now, I haven't got the specifics here. I forgot to change the slide, but I get asked this a lot. You don't have to go crazy about being accurate like a scientist, but just fill your clean sink up with warm water. Put all your vegetables you just bought into your sink. Or sorry, before you do that, add in, go like this, like half a cup of vinegar, just plain old cheapo vinegar, and a teaspoon or so of baking soda. Those 2 things, vinegar and baking soda, you can mix those 2 together, give it a little swirl in your warm water, and then put your apples and your whatever you want to put in there, and let it sit in there for about.
How much baking soda? I'm sorry.
Just a teaspoon, one teaspoon.
1 teaspoon.
I mean, if you've got a big sink and you've got really filled, you could maybe put 2 teaspoons. It's not a science specific, but just about a half a cup of vinegar. I don't measure it. I just go like that with the jug, and a teaspoon of baking soda. Swirl it around a little bit, then put your vegetables in for about 5 minutes. You don't need to soak it for 20 minutes. You don't want to damage your fruits and vegetables, like damage them and get them waterlogged. Just get them in there for about 5 minutes. And then get your towels on your counter, then take your things and just rinse it with the warm water again, and then place it on your towel and let it air dry before you go putting it in the fridge or putting it. Make sure you air dry it. Now I even, because I'm a bit weird, is I take a paper towel or a clean cloth and I will wipe my apples And sometimes, because there's wax on apples, you can wipe it with a clean towel, and that might even take some of the residue. I even like clean around where the core and stuff is, because depending on how you eat your apple, I eat the skin. If you don't cut away, you know how dirt, you know, in an apple, you know how the dirt gets laden in there? Like, you don't want to eat that. We sometimes forget. We just, you know, so.
Do you also thoroughly wash the organic food that you buy? Fruits and vegetables?
You know, thanks for asking that question. I actually do. I just don't, here's the thing. Like, there's people working on the farms that it's the way it's been handled from the truck driver, you know, moving stuff. I want to wash everything. When it says triple washed, guess what? I'm still washing my stuff. So I make a habit of washing everything. Why not? Because organic, they still have to use some kind of compounds because the little bugs, if you've grown a garden at home, the aphids show up no matter what, right? There's bugs everywhere. So I do. I might not be as thorough with the organic stuff, but I still give it a rinse under that warm water.
Thank you. May I mention one thing about the vinegar and baking soda that you put in there? You might also want to mention that it will fizz a little bit when you mix the two.
Yes, you're right. That's why I said just give it a little swish around. Some people just do use vinegar, but if you really want to have things do a nice clean, that baking soda, but it will kind of just do that little, like it's like an experiment, like a science experiment, but that's okay. That's why you don't put like a whole half a cup of baking soda. You just need like a teaspoon in there just to kind of help like, I'm not a scientist, but it just helps to remove the dirt basically on the food.
I use Dawn liquid on apples. Is that incorrect? Should I be doing this other instead?
What were you doing with your apples?
Dawn liquid.
Well,
the soap. It's a soap.
Yeah, no, I know it's a soap. I wouldn't use Dawn. I mean, I have a dishwashing liquid that's called VIP here in Canada, and it's biodegradable. If something's biodegradable and you've read the instructions, you know, they say you could drink it if you want, if you had to, you could drink it and not die from it. So I would just use the simple things. The vinegar and baking soda is the cheapest way to do it. Okay. I used to, when I didn't have this knowledge, I used to take my biodegradable soap and take my apple and go like this, because I didn't like all the wax and all that. And I would wash my apple, then my hands would have all that sticky stuff on it, so the wax. Then I'd take a paper towel and clean my apple. I was so paranoid because when I used to eat apples, I could taste almost the pesticides and I would get sick. I was that sensitive to it. So again, our governments are allowing these things because they can only regulate so much, and they do fall behind with certain things. So this is us taking charge of our own life. So that's basically what I wanted to say about the kitchen. We're going to get into some cleaning stuff after, but that's more about the food that we're ingesting in our kitchens. Bathrooms. This is from my husband. He said, say farewell to fragrances, those artificial fragrances. What are they? They are chemicals. They might smell good for a moment, but they are chemicals, and they're linked to many issues like headaches, difficulty breathing, so our respiratory, poor concentration. You might not even relate the smell of your coworker's cologne that you take in every day in the elevator to you sitting at your desk and not being able to concentrate on your work. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we sometimes don't relate it. Where I work in the government, when I've retired now, but where I work, they are assigned, it was very strict. We weren't allowed to even have a smelly shampoo. We weren't even allowed to bring dishwashing hand soap that had a smell because of allergies, potential allergies. But in general, these things can cause weakness, dizziness, hormone imbalances in men and women, and even cancers. And these are facts. Like, this isn't just maybe, these are facts. So I still have this cologne perfume thing that I love, and I still keep it in my little box. And sometimes I smell it, but I don't use it anymore. The other thing in the bathroom, I want you to look at things. If it says on it fragrance, the word fragrance, that's chemical. If it says parfum, it's chemical. If it says FDNC, it's chemicals. There's the phthalates, the DBPs, the DEHP, and the DEP. All of those things are chemicals. So if you're trying to reduce your chemical load in your body and give your liver a bit of a break, take a look at these things. They can be in any of the products that we put on ourselves. And for women, I'm going to say women, we're the worst. We have it the worst because we might be using makeup. Well, men do stuff now as well, but typically women, we're putting stuff on our lips, we're putting stuff on our eyes, we're putting stuff on our bodies. And remember, the skin is the biggest organ in our bodies, and things can go in through our skin. You know, I know men that put the shaving thing on and the cologne on and stuff like that. These days, there's so many natural products that we can use. And this is where I like to talk just about essential oils, those pure essential oils from companies like Forever Young. I have doTERRA. I have, I'll just grab my bottles here. I have lots of bottles of doTERRA. They kind of look like this. And it's just simple flavors or smells. This one's yellow mandarin. Now, a lot of the essential oils, you've got to be careful with the company, make sure it's pure essential oils. At doTERRA, they have food grade ones. So I even use this in my cooking sometimes. I'll put one, you only need one drop sometimes. Like if I'm making a salad, I don't know, I have to make sure I know that this one is food grade, because sometimes they're not. So lemon, I put a drop of lemon in my warm water instead of cutting a lemon, because the acidity from the actual real lemon can affect your enamel of your teeth. So I just put a drop of lemon oil in my water to still get that effect. You can get pure, beautiful flower essential oils like this frangipani one. This is my mother's favorite smell. It's the plumeria flower from Hawaii. Beautiful smell. And this is natural. There's no chemical. This is pure essential oil. So you want to look for that on products. If it says essential oil, then you know it's just the oil of whatever product. Because we still want to smell nice, right? Mary's saying years ago, a coworker had asked that I not wear a specific fragrance because it caused her to sneeze. Yes. And there are some people that are more sensitive than others. At my work, they just put a full ban. We were angry. Like I was like, I'm going to use my shampoo I like that's got the smell of whatever. And, you know, it wasn't good. So does anybody have any questions just while we're here at the bathroom and kitchen? It's kind of eye-opening, isn't it?
I make a lot of perfumes out of my essential oils, you know, just mixing different. There's so many recipes out there for making, you know, perfumes. So
isn't there? It's so lovely, isn't it? Like when I've looked at what's in perfume, like if you actually see, I don't know, it's just not a big thing. Remember when we would go travel and we'd go to the duty free, and that was the thing I used to always buy like a thing of cologne or a thing of perfume. It was like a big deal. I think it started like, you know, breakfast cereals. It's just kind of out of fashion now. Maybe also in this last year and a half with COVID, we're at home in our t-shirts. I'm wearing my Get Set Up t-shirt. Like I'm not getting myself dressed up and going into the workplace. I'm working from home. So a lot of these things we just stopped buying possibly. But Nelda's right. Like I have some beautiful oils. I have a diffuser, and you can put a drop of ylang ylang and a drop of something else, and you know, let's say lavender even, and have beautiful smells in your home. I'm not saying get away from it, because our smell can bring back memories. It soothes us. It helps us with anxiety. So I'm not saying to get rid of everything. When this picture here, sorry, this picture, sorry, let me just. This picture here is, I'm referring to all of these style of things that have all the chemicals in it, not your, you know, beautiful other things. All right, Elizabeth has a question. Oh, you have to get yourself off of your mute there.
Before we leave the kitchen, you didn't say anything about what we use to wash our dishes. And there's an old product on the market. Am I allowed to call the name?
Sure, absolutely.
There's a product on the market called Dawn Platinum 4 times Stronger.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not a kitchen product. It did a really bad number on my hands, enough that I had to see a doctor to try to clear it up.
Yeah.
And just from the TV commercial, I realized that it had 4 times stronger was degreaser, and it just took all the oils out of my hand.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Yes. Okay, I didn't talk about it. I'm gonna talk about cleaning products soon.
oh, okay.
You're absolutely right. Like the commercial when they use the Dawn, I mean, I'm going to pick on Dawn to clean the little bird, you know, to get the
Yeah.
oil because it went through an oil slick and now it can't, it's like, it's going to die if it doesn't get the oil. Dawn is very strong to get rid of oils. So you can imagine what it does to our skin. I remember my parents used to use the green palm olive. Do you remember palm olive? That was a big, that
Yes.
I would help wash dishes and I would end up with little bumps on my skin, and I reacted to it, and we didn't realize how strong the palm olive was. And in those days my mom liked to hand wash. We didn't really use a dishwasher because it was, you know, too expensive to use a dishwasher, even though we had one. I don't know, maybe we used just as much water doing it the other way, but I used to get a rash on my hands, and it's so strong. It's not banned. It's there. You can buy it. But I use only a natural biodegradable hand soap called VIP. Costco, any of your places, you look for the green works and read the ingredients on them. I will say this to you, and for anybody that does work in an MLM company, like a multi-level marketing company, I'm not talking about pyramid schemes that don't sell anything and take your money, but the MLMs like Shaklee, I'll give that as an example, because Shaklee has been around for hundreds of years. You've probably heard of Shaklee, Shaklee, has an amazing household products that are all clean. And that's all I use in my house now. I use vinegar, baking soda, Shaklee. And I wash my clothes with it. I do my dishes with it. And I do not get, my hands are smooth and I have good, my skin feels fantastic since we switched. My husband didn't notice, but he would say that he doesn't have any problems, dryness with his skin. And then Gladys, sorry, I'll get to you, Pam, one sec. Gladys is asking if, do I wear makeup? And if so, what do I wear? Yeah, I hardly wear makeup. Honestly, you guys see me on screen all the time. I hardly wear makeup, but I do have a foundation I use, and it's, I'd have to go and get it, but maybe you can get it in the States. It's a company who was helping people with cancer. It's totally super clean. There's hardly anything in it. There's nothing in it. Can't think of the name of it. There are some makeups that are just plain and have good ingredients in them. I don't wear a lot. I wear a bit of eyeliner and a bit of like foundation on my face, and my lipsticks are natural as well. You can buy those things. You just have to seek it out in your area. You know where you find it sometimes? Yeah, Beauty Counter. I do use Beauty Counter for the shampoo. I use Beauty Counter shampoo. At your farmers markets, you will find and get relations with people who are making their own products or selling those natural products. So sorry if this is boring for the men, but we put it on our face every day. Maybe we're not now because of COVID. Maybe we put a little bit on before the Zoom call, but just think, we're putting it on our skin. Guess where it's going? It's going into our bodies. All right, let's keep moving so we don't run out of time. So laundry, this is the worst place. One of the worst places, the laundry room. Do you know that there's people that still use bleach? And there's still people that use ammonia. They're horrible for us. They are horrible for us. And you know what? You might still have that little box of, or sort of container of bleach in your back of your laundry room. All right, I'm not gonna say get rid of it, but I'm gonna say get rid of it. But if you do need to use it because that's the only way you feel that your bathroom floor or whatever gets clean, I want to make sure that your windows are all open, your door is open, your ventilation is happening, like the bathroom fan is on. We all have masks now. We know how to wear them. Put your mask on. If you're going to use any form of bleach, do not get it on your hands. Try not to breathe it in, but it's not good for you. What happens? We feel dizzy. We feel sick. Sometimes people go, "Ooh, I like the smell of it at first," but then it makes them feel sick. That Norwax. Norwax is one of those, Jody. Yes. That's the one you see on Facebook a lot. There's some people that sell that one, I think. Yes, that's a natural product. Talk to the people that sell it and find out. I can speak for Shackley. I don't sell it, but my friend got me introduced to it. Shackley's been around. They research everything to death. It's amazing. So Shackley for sure. Do you recommend Thrive Market by mail? I don't know much about Thrive Market. Don't know about that. Yeah, there's some things. I am familiar with Beauty Counter. Beauty Counter products for women, makeup and hair and everything. They will tell you all the things that are not in their product. All those things, those list of things I told you, they'll say is not in your product. You know, that glycol propylene, that's what gives the shampoo like the suds. That's horrible for us. It's not something you want in your body. So ammonia and bleach, please either don't use it anymore. I prefer you not to. Or if you're going to use it, you've got to have you got to be like this lady. She's got her eyes protected. She's got a mask on. She's got gloves on. You don't want it touching your skin. Other things that can happen with these chemicals, if you use them, they can permanently damage your lungs, your cardiovascular system, and increase your risk of getting cancer. The one thing I really, really want to say to you is please do not mix any of these things. You can create something even more harmful if you mix any of these products. All right, Pam, you had a question, I think. You wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you mention, I believe like with these fragrances and smells too, isn't allergies a big problem as well? Like over
yes,
time?
absolutely. I didn't mention allergies. We just think we're allergic to, you know, stuff, and maybe it's the pollen outside, but it could be a product that one of your family members is using inside. Even our young kids, like it's so scary, but some of our young kids, they have a product, they've got like some lip balm or they got some new thing that their friends using or gave to them, and it could be causing allergies or causing problems. So you've got to just like read your labels. It'll be there because they have to put it, most of the time they have to put it in writing. The thing about also, so what I want you to avoid is absolutely avoid your bleaches, and also try to avoid the pressurized cans. Because guess what? To pressurize it, they have to add more chemicals to pressurize it. Carpet cleaner is one of the worst. Those poor people that clean carpets, I really, really, really feel sad for them because they are around one of the harshest chemicals ever just to clean our carpets. So if you find like the green companies that come and do cleaning of your home and it costs a bit more, the reason it costs more because they're using better products. So so that's something to look at. Valentine, do you have a question?
Yes. So are you saying that the Clorox wipes are not good to use as well?
Well, anything with bleach is not great. If you're going to use any of those things, make sure you've got your rubber gloves on and a mask on if you're going to use anything like that that's got bleach in it. The amount of bleach that's in those Clorox things is nothing compared to the straight bleach in the container. But I just don't use those things anymore. I have gotten a special product that I put my gloves on to clean the bacteria off my counters, especially with COVID right now. So we're being even extra careful. So just be careful. Just don't, use your bare hand with the Clorox wipes. Make sure you've got a glove on.
Okay, because I also like when I wash my dishes, all my life, I've always used a little bit of bleach, Clorox in my dishwater.
Yeah. And you know what? I know people that do that. My dad's helper that we hired for elder care to be in the home to clean. She takes all the cutlery and does a little thing with bleach to really clean things. You can use that, but you have to rinse everything completely after you do whatever you're going to do with the bleach. I'm not saying get rid of your bleach, but I don't use bleach anymore in my home. And when I go to my dad's and I see her using bleach, I make sure I'm nowhere near the kitchen. Like get the sliding door open, have the airflow. So Valentine, if you're going to still do, because that's old school and you've done that for forever and you want to like clean everything once a month or once however often you do it, please don't do it every day. Make sure you've got your gloves on, a mask, and air ventilation if you're going to use bleach at all, even the little bit of Clorox bleach. Or if you're doing it for your clothes, if you're doing, we used to bleach stuff for our clothing, same thing. Don't breathe it in.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Norwex. That's the one that's I see on the on Facebook a lot. What are some companies that would good for clean? Carpet cleaning is tough because you got to, you want to get those stains out of your carpet. All I'm saying with the carpet cleaning, I mean, I feel bad because I don't want the carpet cleaning people to get sick too. If you're going to get your carpets clean, don't do it so often. Do spot cleaning instead of the whole thing. But if you're going to get the whole thing cleaned, make sure you leave those windows open as long as you can. Let them clean and let it naturally dry. If you could be away from your place for a while, that would be the best because those chemicals are strong. And again, switching to homemade cleaners, we talked about baking soda, we talked about vinegar and lemon juice. Lemon juice has that acidity. It can be very useful as well. All right, let's get, we still have a few more minutes and I don't want to run out of time, but we're almost done here. This is my favorite part, the living room. We talk about air quality, making sure we ventilate everything enough. But guess what? In our living rooms, if you live near a busy road, mine's fairly busy, you're getting pollution coming in. Even though you don't smell it, the little particles of pollution are coming in through your windows and your balcony door or your front door. So what can that do? It can cause the allergies, the pollen flies in. If you have allergies, you open your windows and the tree pollen's floated in. Now you've got your sneezing. Allergies, respiratory issues like COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. That's what that stands for. Hypertension. You can end up with higher blood pressure from these these toxins coming in through your air. So your air quality is really important. You might not be able to afford a Dyson purifier air thing. I spent 5 years saving up to buy my Dyson. I have running right now in my office right now, and it's cleaning my air constantly. I have it on automatic, and it's very, very interesting. If I open my window after a couple minutes, that thing will kick in to higher gear. That's how I can tell. It can sense in the air that things have changed, and it turns itself on to purify it more than when I have the window closed. So what is the very best thing that you can do to remove toxins from the air in your home? Does anybody know? The very best thing you can do.
Proper ventilation.
Proper ventilation is very important if you're going to use things like bleach. When you're using the chemicals, when you're cleaning your home, you need to have ventilation. But having the windows and stuff open, you're also bringing in things in your air. Pollution from the truck that's idling outside your window.
Right. What about a humidifier?
Humidifiers actually just put moisture into the air. So when you're buying, like, for example, Dyson has a humidifier, air purifier, like they combine things together, but don't be mistaken. Like for a baby's room, when the air is too dry, you have an air purifier. It's basically putting moisture into the air. That does nothing to clean your air, nothing. But
getting rid of your carpet.
Yes. I mean, in our new place, we're moving in a year. I have hardwood throughout my place, but in our bedroom, in my office where I'm right now, which gets quite dirty, this carpet, I got carpet. So when I move to our new place, we're getting rid of all our carpet. And we're just going to bring in like the cute little throw rug or thing. And,
area rugs, yeah.
Area rugs. And I'm going to clean it as much as I can. And then it gets chucked. And then I get something new.
That's what my son did. He had all wood floors new wood floors put all throughout the house.
Yeah. So if you have allergies, that might really help. Plants,
yeah, absolutely. The children have allergies.
Yep. Linda's mentioning about plants. Plants, what do they give off oxygen, so that's good for us. But here's the thing. This is the clincher. Dusting. I want you to get into a habit of dusting. And I don't mean the little, the little feather one that you just like throw the dust and it goes back in the air and then you breathe it in again. I mean, getting a damp cloth and wiping that dust. Take 10, 15 cloths once a week in your home and dampen them and wipe off that dust off your computer, off your kitchen table, off the windowsills, and throw that into your wash. Because guess where the toxins settle in your home? In the dust bunnies. That's the biggest thing. It settles into the dust. So my husband, he was joking. He says, well, then don't touch the dust. Just let it sit there. The dust is holding on to the toxins. In a sense, I guess it is. Because if you go there before, oh, you've got company coming and you start dusting and you just quickly doing all this stuff, what happens? You start coughing, don't you? Because you're breathing in the toxins that are in the dust and you've just made this big, dust bloom.
And that just spreads it everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So the feather duster, I mean, just for show, if you want to like dust the piano before someone comes over to see that, maybe you're playing the piano, so it's not like a layer of dust on it. But the toxins settle in our dust. So the best thing you can do is the damp cloth. Now, if you're worried about like your beautiful piano or your wood furniture and you don't want to do damp cloth, the microfiber cloths, those microfiber cloths that can shine up the windows and stuff, use that because that's got like the proper material and it will pick up the dust. But just don't dust everything, and then you're just moving toxins from this place to that place. So have your have 10 cloths and do different sections. Use one side, the other side.
How about Swifters?
Swifters, yes, Swifters are good too because they pick up the stuff, but just you can Swift, flip it over, use the other side, Swift, and then throw it out. Don't or wash it if it's the type of Swifter that you can wash the fabric. If it's the throwaway one, just don't leave it on the Swifter and put it in the cupboard because then you can bring it out the next day. Sometimes people they're trying to save on using all the little things. So that's why I use reusable cloths that I can just reuse again. So I dampen them, pick up the dust, get it into the washing machine. So I hope that you found today's class valuable. We've looked at the potential for harmful chemicals, how there's so many coming out in our world today, and our governments honestly can't keep up. They just can't keep up. Often they can't keep up. So we've looked at the different areas. If you take anything from today, I'm going to say you can make your own wash for your vegetables. Simple. Please try to find some natural products especially for your washing of dishes, because we do that every single day. Elizabeth gave us the story, how it hurt her hands. Some of these chemicals and products that are advertised to us today are harmful for us and our skin and our allergies, but they're still on our shelves. So go figure, they're still on our grocery shelves. So you have to protect yourself. Do not mix chemicals. If you're going to use bleach or ammonia, please mask up, glove up. And the best thing that you can do is to dust. I laughed when I saw it because I thought I hardly ever dust. I never did, but now that's my number one cleaning thing now. So there's lots of new classes coming out every week. So check out the new classes. I'm going to send you a post email from this class and you can give feedback. Please try and fill out the feedback form if you can. And you can invite people to classes now, which is great. Yes, Nelda, Young Living has everything to keep us safe from toxins. So Young Living is that essential oils company. And I use doTERRA because my friend sells doTERRA. And again, they're very good essential oil type companies. And if you have any interest in doing an interest group because you have a love for something, even if it's related to something that you've been taught by me, maybe we can have an interest group in it. And if you want to suggest a new class, you can send all of these things. What about pesticides for your lawn? Yes, weed killer. Weed killer is really, really bad. Like, if it's going to kill the weed, you've got to make sure, when you see the guys, they've got the full mask on and the spray and they're spraying. I'll say this one thing to you guys. I've seen them doing this at Walmart and I can't stand the smell. So I wonder what chemicals there are. When I walk into my Walmart now, where all the buggies are, can you smell that chemical smell? They do it here in Canada. I seen the guy with the tank on his back and he's spraying okay, Whole Foods, for example, wipes them down with a cloth. But at Walmart, I've seen them with the sprayer, like they're spraying a crop. They spray all of the buggies. So please don't put your finger in your mouth or anything if you're going shopping there. The chemicals on there to kill off COVID and any other virus. So just be careful when you're out there.
What about the things like Airwick that we use in the bathroom? Or around the house?
Yeah, I don't use any of those things. Like, I think one of the worst things we can use are those dryer sheets in our dryers. get one of those dryer balls, the natural things to like help with the static and all that. If anybody in your family has allergies, that's the first thing I would get rid of is what you're putting in your detergent and those dryer sheets. Just get rid of those things. Those things are horrible.
Okay, I'm talking about the ones that you put in the little holders around the house and they have fragrances in it.
Yeah, Mary, I'm going to say I would way rather you put a couple drops of essential lemon oil in a diffuser to smell your, to make your house smell, because somebody might have an allergy to it. And it's it's actually chemicals. Airwick is probably, I know which one you mean. Because we used to put it's like a little liquid and you put it into the plug so it keeps it warm and it poofs out the smell.
Right.
You just read the ingredients and see if it doesn't have all those chemicals that you're just putting into your.
Okay.
Into your
It
house.
smells so good.
I know. I know.
It runs up your electric bill.
Well,
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, but you know what? You can make beautiful smells from actual essential oils, like pure cinnamon. You can, you put that in the pot on the stove, and it just makes the house smell like cinnamon and baking and stuff. So anyway,
you can put the peppermint on any muscle or joint that hurts.
Yeah, I mean, just
do
there's
that, and you can do the lavender on your temples.
Yeah, I mean, there's natural. Yeah, there's natural essential oils. There's enough companies that do natural essential oils, and they're putting out things like putting people out of business, like the Airwicks and the stuff that use the chemicals. So
and the Lysol spray as well. The Lysol spray as well. That's not good at all. Lysol spray.
Yeah, I mean, we do all these things. I mean, we have to use some things because we're trying to kill off viruses, and use your Clorox wipes if you want, but just make sure you have your gloves on and that you've got air ventilation. All right, we're over time now, so I'm going to say goodbye, and please,
thank you.
I look forward to seeing you in other classes. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.
I'll see you in your next class. I have. I see you in the next class.
Okay. All right. I'm looking for, it's my eye health. It's my first time coming up. All right. Bye, everybody.
Can you spell Shaklee before you leave?
Yes. Shaklee is spelled SHAKLEE. It's been around for over 100 years, and they have fantastic products. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.